Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 3, Exchanges that are wrong. Today we'll take a look in the game between Nevero Valeri and Sulskis Sharunas. Let's take a look in the game. Here again, we have what we can see here. We have a knight on e4. It's a pretty nice, let's say, nice piece for black. And here white decided to play a bit against that knight. So here, very nice move from white. White played the move queen e1, saying, I want to keep fighting for the file and I want to see what will you do with your knight. Here, I think this is the first trade that I don't like. Here in this position, I think the best move for black was just to try to play a move f5. With a move like f5, the black plan here is just to try to keep this knight as long as possible on the square e4. But what happened here? After the move queen e1, black decided to trade knight to c3, and I think this was also part of the white plan. After the knight c3, white took, black took, and after rook e3, king to f8. This position looks kind of the equal, but there is a huge problem in the black position, and that huge problem is this b7 bishop. That's a kind of like a very passive bishop on the queen side. But what do we have here? This is a bishop on g2 doing a pretty good job, and this bishop will improve even more after the next move of white, and the move is h4. White's idea here is to play a move king to h2 and a move bishop to h3. Why? Because when the bishop gets to the h3, this bishop will be in this beautiful diagonal h3 c8. So after the move h4 here, I think that black played the move f6. In my opinion, this is a second mistake. I think it's even bigger than the move 93 from the start this game. Why? After the black played the move f6, the problem here is that e6 square will be a main target for the white pieces. In my opinion here, the best move for black was to play at least the move h6, and after the king h2, again to offer the trade, bishop h3, and after the move queen to b3, white will still be better because white will have a pressure on the d5 pawn. This bishop can't go from the b7 square, but this is still a small advantage, nothing so huge and nothing so big. But what happened here is that black played the move f6, and now white decided to continue with his plan. White played the move king to h2, and after rook e8, bishop to h3, attacking the queen on d7. As we can see here, after the move rook e3, queen e3, we will have the endgame queen and the bishop against the queen and the bishop. After the queen d8, what's like one of the first things in this type of position is, if you're white here, you need to maximize activity of your pieces. And here we have a nice queen on the e3, but we need to activate the bishop even more. So here, white played the move bishop to f5, trying to find the new weaknesses in the black position. So here, obviously, the move like, let's say, move like a g6 will not be good for white because white will get additional square for the queen to keep attacking the black king on f8. So here, black played the move h6, and now let's think. Always let's think about the black resources in this position. So after move h6, what's the black idea? Black wants to play a move bishop to c8 and to offer the trade of the bishops because the queen endgame is the best possible outcome for black in this type positions. So here, after the move h6, white said, nope, you will not play a move bishop c8. White played the move queen to c1. Okay, so black played at least a6, trying to make some progress with the pawns on the queen side, but then white played a4. White idea is that after the move a4, white wants to push the b pawn a bit more forward so he can lock the bishop on the square b7. After this, black tried at least to play g5, but already when the g5 is on the board, it's a pretty, let's say, we can see that black doesn't know what to do and how to improve this position because the move g5 is just weakening the position, let's say, the whole structure around the black king. So, but after the move g5 here, white said, b5, I still want to lock your bishop on the square b7. After the b5 here, black played king to e7, and white played the move queen to e3. Maximum activity Before we activated the bishop, now it's a time for white to activate the queen. Queen e3 check, king f8, and again, queen to e6. White is stopping ideas with the bishop c8, and at the same time, white is saying, I want to target your f pawn and possibly the b pawn if you, let's say, if black decides to move the queen from the d8 square. White took, ab, ab, and here black played the move. Queen c7 check, okay, it's a check. We move the king to g2 safety, king g7, and now I will say again, very important moment, how white is playing this position for the win. So here, please stop the video and try to find the best idea for white to keep playing this position for the win. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. Now, in my opinion, absolutely lovely idea of trading queen to d7 trade offer. Nothing else for black to do except to trade. And now after bishop d7, here black resigned. So the main question is why black resigned. White will simply get this king to come closer to the f3, g4, f5, h5. These two pawns will be under attack, but what's the main problem? The bishop on b7 is locked, and this bishop will never ever go out. If this bishop moves, let's say to a8, bishop will just play c8, bishop c8, and as we can see here, there is no square, there is no additional square for the bishop. So, for example, after the move bishop d7, if black decides to play just a passive defense, we go forward. If he tries to go here, it's important to move this bishop only on this diagonal f5, just not to let this bishop to go out. After the move, king f7, there, king g7, here, and whatever black does, let's say whenever he goes, we go king f5, king e6, and then we just have a full control over the position on the king side. So this movement is pretty easily winning. If he starts to go here, we have king f5. If he starts to attack you, we have a move, let's say bishop to e6. He can't move the bishop because bishop c8, and he can't move the king because the f pawn is going down. But here, of course, Grandmaster Shulsky saw that, and in the position before he didn't even play it, he resigned immediately after this trade. I hope you really enjoyed this game. So here, it's like, I will say it's a pretty interesting spot how white won this. It's like with the right trade in the right time, white just maximize advantage all the time with every single move. So here I will just go back to the one moment where I would like to do with like a quick recap here. So after the move like a queen to e1, it's a very nice, very, let's say, move that's like a waiting move, but at the same time white is pressuring the e file. So after this knight e3 trade, I think this is a first slight mistake by black. Here black should just play a move like a f5, trying to keep this knight on e4 as soon, let's say, as much as possible. But here is, after this one trade, rook to e3, and nothing else for white to accept to take it. And after the move like a king f8, here white played the move h4. So this is like a very important moment, because with the plan with h4, white wants to play move king h2, bishop h3 to get control over this diagonal h3, c8. Black played the move f6. I think this is a second big mistake, because e6 square is such a huge now resource for white pieces. White played king h2, rook e8, and now bishop to h3, saying, I don't have a problem to trade I want you to trade my rooks. So after rook e queen e3, but after the move queen d8, white just simply played the move bishop to f5, saying is, after bishop f5, I want to find the new weaknesses in the black position. So black played h6, and now white just continued with the move queen to c1, saying, I don't want to let your bishop to come to the square c8. So white played this perfectly. After the a6, a4, white is preparing the move. Let's say white wants to push b5 to put this bishop on b7. It's a kind of like in a trap. And after the g5, white continued, b5, king e7, check, and after queen e6, I will say that after move queen e6, this position must be completely winning for white, because now suddenly the squares, let's say the pawns on b6, f6 are, let's say, are easy targets, and also the bishop can't come back to the play. So after g8, gh, ab, ab, queen c7, check, king g2, king to g7. In my opinion, the most important thing here for white is to play a move queen to d7 check. Why queen d7? Because now white can just easily get to this f and h pawn, but in the same time this bishop on b7 will stay there, and there is nothing that in this type of position just black can do. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you enjoying this chapter, and I hope you will win some of your future games in this way. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next game. Bye. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chapter 3, Exchanges That Are Wrong. Today we'll take a look in the game between Tymoshenko Gennady and Howard Arnold. Let's take a look what we have on the board now. Black offered the trade of the queens, and obviously after move knight to f5, queens are not on the board. And now black thought that with the pawn up, his position is good. But here, white is on the move, and white needs to make a good choice. So please here, stop the video and try to find the best way how white should continue this endgame without, obviously, without the queens on the board. Thank you so much. I hope you found the right move. The move is rook e8. This move, I think that black didn't think about this trade on such a, on such a concrete way, because after the move rook e8, or let's say before here, I think black just tried to count the number of pawns. So 5 against 4, we can see. So black is a pawn up, but the problem for black is that these pawns are separated. And what's the case? And especially when the bishop is on h4, these two pawns can become a very easy target for the white bishop. So after the move rook e8, that will be the part of the plan, how white bishop will attack these black pawns. Nothing else for black to do except to king h7, take, and like I said, now white plan here is to target these pawns, so white played the move bishop to e1. Also, I can say that here in this position, bishop d8 is also a good move. So after the move bishop e1, the a pawn is in danger. Black played the move knight to e3, nothing else to do for black except at least to try to be active with the knight on e3. So bishop a5, knight to d5, and now black idea here is maybe to try to push the c pawn a bit forward, but white saw that, and white played the move b3, saying, no, you will not push this pawn forward. I want to control your c pawn. So after the b3 on the board, black played the move king g8, trying to activate his own king, but white said now, let's say like this, white played move bishop to e1. Next part of the white plan is to relocate the bishop from a5, try to go to e1, and then from here to play bishop to f2 to attack this pawn on c5 from another place. Black didn't have anything else to do except to jump knight to c7, bishop to f2, and now knight to a6. Yes, black is defending the c pawn with the knight, but now basically the problem is that this knight is a very passive piece on a6, and this knight can't be moved anywhere else. So after the move knight e6, white said, okay, now it's a time, as usual, for the king activity in this type of the endgame. So here white played the move king to f1, rushing with the king as soon as possible to the c pawn and also to the knight on a6. Black played king f8, king to e2, let's activate the king e7, king d3, king d6, king c4, and now obviously very important move for black is to play a move king c6, not to allow the white king to come closer to the square b5. But after the move king c6, white decided now to play a very nice move, but this move will connect white pawns on the king side. So white said, okay, my job on the queen side is not done, but I want to improve my position on the king side. So here white played the move g4 push. Why g4 is so good? First of all, white idea here is to stop any movement from the black pawns, especially the moves like f5 or h5. White idea here is not to stop that, and obviously to control these 3 pawns. So after the g4, and nothing else for black to do except to play g6, but here white said, Let's go bishop to e3. With the move bishop e3, white is controlling the h pawn, and there is nothing else to do from black except to push the h pawn forward. But now this is the moment that white was waiting for. Now white just played the move g5, saying, okay, these 3 pawns, f7, g6, h5 now can't be moved, and these 2 pawns on g5 and h2 are just fully controlling the position on this side of the board. In the meantime, the problem for black is that this knight on a6 can't be moved anywhere because the c5 pawn will just go down. Black played a move here, let's say king to d6, but now h4, finishing the job on the king side with the pawns, king c6, bishop to g1, waiting move. Black played king d6, bishop to f2, and now king c6. Now I will say, very nice, a final move for white in this position is the move a5. After this move, black resigned. So why black resigned in this position? The main thing is that after white pushed the a pawn, the problem for black is that this knight can't be moved to b8 or c7 because the c5 pawn will go down. And also, if this king goes to d6 or c7, white king will just enter the game, especially on the b5 square. So we can say again that black is lost. I hope you enjoyed this game. Let's go for the quick recap as we usually do. So after the black traded the queens, here I think that black just didn't think that this endgame is such a big problem for him. But after the move rook to e8 check, rook ej, king h8, white just beautifully attacked the weaknesses in the black positions. Also, the second important moment for me is this move b3, saying, yes, you have a c pawn. I want to keep an eye on your c pawn, in the same time destroying the activity of the d5 knight, because this knight from d5 must go back to defend the a pawn. So after these couple of moves, king f1, now both kings are getting activated, but now, second important moment is the move g5, trying to say white with the move g4 is just completely controlling these 3 pawns on the king side. Couple of nice moves, and this, as we can see in the end of this position, after the move a5, this is a Zugzwang. Why this is a Zugzwang? That means that black doesn't have any useful moves, because any king move or any knight move, whatever black does, this c pawn will just go down pretty easily. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. I will say a little bit a short chapter, but in short game as well. But I hope you will use this knowledge and these motives in your games again. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next game. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 3, Exchanges that are wrong. Today we'll take a look in the game between Hugo Werner and Dreev Alexei. Dreev had the black pieces in this position. As you can see here, white is on the move in this position, and white needs to find the right plan in this game. Here, as we can see, that black piece is a bit more active, especially like this queen is in such a nice square e5. Also, the knights are on the pretty good squares. In the other hand, like we have a king on h2 that's kind of in a passive situation, and also the knight on g2 not doing something specific. But here, white now offered the trade of the queens, and white played the move queen to f4. So from here, after the move queen f4, you will notice that this trade will not solve anything. The main problem for white after in this endgame will be that this black king will enter the game pretty quickly. So this endgame was not the right choice by white. So here, instead of the move queen f4, in my opinion, the best move for white was just simply to play a move like rook to d1. At least try to fight for a file, and now let's say b5 for black, takes, maybe some couple of trades, and after queen to b5 the position will be pretty unclear. Maybe black is slightly better because he has more space, but at least the position should be around equal. But let's go back to the critical moment of the game. What happened in the game is that white offered the trade. So queen f4, Black obviously must take the queen, and after knight f4, black played the move rook to d8, taking control over the d file, and white played the move rook to d1. This was all the part of the white, let's say, white plan. White wanted to trade every, let's say, every hard piece here in the game. But the problem for white is that after this trade, rook to d1 and knight to d1, black pieces are really ready for this endgame. And when I say black pieces, I especially mean on the king on g7. So let's take a look what happened next. Here, black played the move knight f to d7, ready. Black is ready to connect with the e4 pawn, especially with the move f5. So here, white played the move knight e3, going back, and black played the move f5. After the move g4, obviously king f6. And now my first question for you here is like, after the move gf, my question for all of you is, after the gf, how will you take the f pawn? You have kind of like two choices, but try to pick the best one. Thank you so much. Here, the best possible move is to take this pawn with the king. King f5. The main reason is, yes, we are kind of like disconnecting the pawns, but in return, what do we get? We get a very active king on f5 that's actually attacking the knight on f4. Nothing else for white to do here except to play move e3 to defend the knight on f4, and now this was a chance that black wanted. Now the d3 square is pretty open, and here black played the move knight to d3. Now the problem for white is that this f2 pawn is under attack, and also the knight on f4. So here basically there is a no, let's say here white doesn't have a choice. He took, and after knight d3, ed, now we have a very interesting knight endgame where this d pawn is very close to promotion. Obviously still can't go there because of the knight to c3, but black made a very nice progress, especially with this d pawn. So after ed, white played the move king to g2, black jumped knight c5, and now white was very much afraid when this knight is here. White is definitely afraid of the move knight e4, and so white played the move f3 to stop that plan. Now black said, okay, I did what let's say I did the maximum in the center. Let me push the pawns on the king side here, and black played the move h5. So king to f2, and now very nice idea here is the move king to g5. Black is saying, I want to go to h4, and I want from here to pressure your h pawn. So here, white played knight b1, and black here played the move king f5. That's not a huge mistake, but here, black missed a lovely idea how to play for a win. First move is to play a move king to h4. That looks pretty logical to attack the pawn. But in my opinion, after the move king g2, black saw g5, but I think that after knight d2, black didn't see the way how black can make a bigger progress from this, exactly this endgame. So please here, this is my second question. It's a bit more tougher, I will say. Please stop the video here and try to find a plan for black, how black will play for a win in exactly this endgame. Thank you so much. I hope you found the right move. In this position, the crucial way for black to play is to push a4. Okay, it does look like something. I think this looks like a logical move, but the problem is when white push b, there is an idea is knight to b3. Now it's working. So why this move is so good? First of all, if white takes this knight with a pawn, we just push a3, and suddenly the pawn a will be promoted. So here, nothing else to do. And if he takes like this, the problem is I will just take it. And if he takes now d2, this king is too far away, so now the d pawn will become a queen. Just a beautiful plan, but it's not easy to see. Here black decided to play a little bit like a waiting chess, and black played move king to f5. That's also fine, and black will get to position that he was hoping for. So after the move king f5, white played the move knight d2, so a little bit dancing around the d, and now black said, Let's push, let's make a progress. And after the move a4, b4, unfortunately now this idea with knight b3 is not working because his king is already on f2, controlling the d pawn. But after the b4, black said, okay, let me just go back now, knight to d7. And here in this position, white had a chance to be a bit more active, and that activity white could definitely take with the move knight to e4, and still black should be slightly better because of the d pawn. But again, white will have his chances. But instead of this, white played a bit passive move, a3, and now black said, let's push. So g5. Obviously, the idea of black here is to push g4, trying to break this pawn fortress in this endgame. So after the move c5, again, active, knight to e5. Main idea now how black should play this endgame is to touch these 2 pawns, h3 and a3. So to go for these 2 weaknesses, and the main problem for white is that it's very hard for white to control both of these pawns. So after knight e5, played king to e6. So now the route is pretty simple for the black king. Let's go king d5, knight e4, and just go for the a pawn. So here, e4, and of course after e4 happened, only move that here white can play is the probably idea with h4. So black said, nope, you will not get there. Knight to g6. Now black is opening the square f4, and in the meantime also black king wants to go with this route e5, d4, c3. So from here already I can say that black position is winning, but let's take a look. So what happened next? So here white played the move knight c4, check, here check. Here, nothing else here to done with this king, because king must defend the h pawn. And now just lovely move king to f6. This is kind of like a zugzwang because there is no useful move for the white side. So let's talk about this. Why? So this king on h2 can't go anywhere because this knight will just grab the h pawn. In the meantime, this knight on c4 can't go anywhere because the king will just go enter, and this d pawn will be promoted. So there is nothing else for white to do except to go. And now without the h pawn, now it's a pretty easy game, little maneuvering. And now after the g4 position is kind of like completely over for white. Knight to f3 now, and push, and black just simply pushed all the pawns forward and white couldn't do anything. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the game. Let's go for the quick recap as we usually do. So, in my opinion, white made one crucial mistake in this game, and that's move queen f4. So here white could fight for, let's say, for equal position here much better with the queens on the board. Rook to d1. Okay, yeah, white has some maybe less space for his pieces, but still there is no real weakness in the white position, and so queens need to stay. They just need to be on the board here. So here after the move queen f4, that's a first mistake. takes, rook to d8. Black obviously put the rook on the open file. Rook to d1. Takes. Main problem with this endgame, it's looking equal, but the problem is that this black king is very quickly entering the game. And when I say entering, I really mean this exactly diagonal. So here after the move knight e7, jump f5 controlling g4, king is coming, and after gf, second I will say important moment is black must take this with a king. Main idea is these 2 pawns will be pushed forward, but it's more important for this king to be in such a lovely central square. After the e3, jumping knight to d3 here. Okay, nothing else to take. Already here, black made a progress because the d pawn is a very, very dangerous pawn here. King to g2, knight c5. Idea is to jump to e4, f3, h5. Now black is trying to push his majority on the king side. After king f2, black played king g5. Idea of black is to go king to h4 and to go for the h pawn. After the move knight b1, I know I will definitely want to show this in the recap because this is just a lovely motive. So idea here for black is to play first the move king to h4 to attack the h pawn, and then when he goes with the king g to g5, knight to d2, black here can play a move a5.
f4, just a lovely motive, and I hope I will get get the chance to play something similar in my games. So idea here is that after the a4, if you push this forward, knight to b3, and now however you take the knight, just one of black pawns will be promoted. So it's just a lovely, lovely, lovely idea. But here black played the move king f5. That's also fine. Just black decided to have not to rush, just to play it simply and to wait for his chance. So after the move a4, b4, unfortunately now this idea with knight b3 is not working. And after the move a3, g5, c5, knight to e5. Finally here, black has a full control over the all important squares in the white position. And now it's just a matter of time when white will just, let's say, lose any possibility for a counterplay. And that happened pretty quickly. So after the move knight to e5, white played king g3, king e7, black is saying, let's go on the other side. And after e4, knight g6, I just want to show you the position in the Zugzwang, and that's it. So after the king f6, there is no useful move, and one of these d pawn will be the queen, or the knight on f4 will grab all the white pawns. Thank you so much. This was kind of like a quick recap of this game. So one of the definitely my advices will be like my main advice, maybe one, as I can say, is be careful when you're trading pieces. I mean, especially when you're entering the end games, always spend like a 10 or 15 seconds, or maybe even more, 2 or 3, 5 minutes, depends what time control do you play. When, let's say, when you're choosing to trade, because what do you choose to do will impact your game in a great way, as you could see here in this game. Thank you so much. I hope you will win more games, especially in the right trades, and definitely see you in the next game. Bye.
Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 3, exchanges that are wrong. Today we'll take a look in the game against Jovicic Radisov, FIDE master, against my father, this time Nestorovic Dejan. So I'm coming from the chess family. My father is international master and a FIDE trainer. Also my mother is a woman FIDE master. My brother Lazar is international master, and my sister Katerina is a woman FIDE master, and yeah, my name of my mother is Irena. So we are like a chess family, so real chess family. So I have some material also from my parents, right? So that's I will say the good thing. So okay, that's an introduction part. Let's go immediately in the game. Here, white is on the move. And I will say that this is, as you can see here with the bishop on g7, we can say that this is kind of like a Grunfeld setup, especially because the move c5 should be played at some point. And now here, white could just play a move like king to g1, and if the c5 happen, white can just move the queen, and after the e6, I will say this is unclear game. White has a pretty good center, and this bishop can come back to g3, and in my opinion, this should be equal position, so no, there is no big problem in a white position. But what happened in this game? Here, white played queen to b1, and I think that this move is like showing a tendency to play for a draw, and like that I think this move is a mistake. Main reason is black will get a very favorable endgame. So that type of the endgame for black will be black is the position is objectively equal, but it's a very easy to play with the black pieces. And this is like, if you have a white pieces, you want to avoid a very simple endgames, especially if your opponent, let's say he needs to play very simple moves. So queen b1 move is a mistake because it's letting like black to play a very simple endgame. And my father took the queen b1 pretty quickly. And after the move rook to b1, obviously c5. So black idea here is to attack the center as soon as possible, these 3 pawns, and also to take on d4 in the right moment. Why after cd? cd, the point is the c pawn will be attacked. So after the cd, this rook will enter the game through the square c2. So here, obviously, white played the move rook bc1 to protect the c pawn through the c file. And now, very important move for black. I will say a very interesting move. The move is f5. Now, let's talk about why the move f5 is so important. First of all, Again, after the move f5, black king is entering the game from the squares like f7 and e6. Second of all, the bishop on h4 is completely out of the play. So here, black wants to play a move like h6, push forward the pawn, and g5, trying to lock this bishop completely out. The third plan here is that this knight from a5 can jump on c4, and with such a nice knight, white rooks will be in trouble because it's kind of like a very passive position for white without the real plan, and black has like a 3 different ways how to improve this position. First of all, let's activate the king. Second of all, let's push the pawns on the king side, and the third idea here is definitely to activate the knight from the square a5. So it's a kind of like a lot of different interesting plans for black. What white played is the bishop to g3. I think it's a pretty obvious. White is trying to activate the bishop, but after the move knight e4, now white got under some pressure here, and white played the move bishop to e5. Here, this bishop e5 is a slightly mistake. Why? With the bishop e5, white is ready to destroy his own pawn structure just to destroy the black bishop on the square g7, but that problems with the pawn structure will be enough for black to get a very serious advantage. So here, instead of the move like bishop e5, probably what white needs to do is to play a move like rook to b1, h3, probably king e2, and to wait a black plan. So I will say it's a very uncomfortable position to play with the white pieces, and that's one of the reasons why I was against this trade from the start of the game. Here, white played the move bishop to e5, and I think here black was pretty happy to take back this. So bishop to e5, take it back, knight to e5, and here it's a very important how do you take in the center. Here black first took on d4. The main reason why first on d4 and then after here is because black wants to open the c file as soon as possible, because if he takes like this, somehow d file is open and it's not so clear why black is better in this type of the rook endgame. So here, after the move knight e5, black first took c takes d4, and after the move c takes d, here move knight e4 here is also possible, but if that's the case, rook will already come to c4, and together with the rook from e to c8, I think that this a2 pawn will be a very nice weakness. So I'm not saying that black is winning, just black has a very nice activity with the rooks, and white will be in the trouble. Here what happened is white took, and now we have knight e5, d takes e, and king to f7. Finally, the black king is going forward, and after the move king f7, black idea here is to go with the plan of king to e6. King to e2 from white, and king e6. Well, black idea is obviously to grab the e5 pawn as soon as possible, so white must play the move f4. Here now I will say it's like a second important moment in the game, and the question is this: how in this position black is improving this rook endgame? So kind of like double e pawns are there, rook is on the c file, but now it's very important how to improve. So please stop the video here and try to find how you will play this rook endgame for the win. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. Very important move here from the black is the move b5, pushing the pawn here. Again, I think we had this couple of times in a couple of previous examples. So when you have a pawn majority on the queen side, push the pawns forward, and that's what happens. So b5, white played here h3. Idea of white is at least to try to play a move like a g4 as soon as possible, but then black said, okay, b4, I have 2 on 1, and here, because of double e, white doesn't have any majority of the pawns. After this, white played rook to b1, but now already when the rook is out of the c file, black has a very nice control over the c file. Here, black missed, I will say, a little bit better answer here. So here, black should just simply push a5. Why? The reason is pretty simple. Black rook
this is one of the rare moments when I will say, don't go rook c2 right now. The plan here of this rook is to go to b8 first. So after a3, the plan is first now to play rook c2 check, and then after this takes, now to play move rook to b8. This endgame is very easily winning, especially because there are like a double e pawns, and now with this rook from the b8, the plan is just to enter with the king and to grab all of these white pawns, and of course we will push this b pawn as far as possible. So here black played also logical move rook c2, but there is a one tiny difference that will, let's say white will have a chance to fight for a draw. So after rook c2, nothing else to do than this, take, and now after the check, white missed his chances to play for the draw. So this line was not possible if black played a5 in the first place. So after this, now white played a logical move, but that logical move was actually a mistake. White played here. Okay, I can make this. So please stop the video here and try to say it. Where will you go with the king from d2? Thank you so much. I hope you found the right move. Here, the must play move is actually to go to e2. What's the difference? Why king e2 is there are chances for a draw and king c2 is losing. Basically, the point is after the a5, white will have a move rook to c1. The point is after the move rook c1, white has ideas to act with the rook and to come behind the a pawn. So here still black has a better endgame, but this was a better, let's say, very good chance for white to stay in the game. But what happened here is that after rook d8, white played a pretty perfectly logical move to go with the king closer to the queen side pawns, and white played the queen c2. But now let's push. There is no counterplay with this rook, and the rook is still passive on the b file. So here, white played a3, check, king d2, and now rook to b8. Finally, rook is behind the pawn, and now this is a technical position. Takes, king c2, king goes to the center, king to d5, check, king to e4. Now, black idea here is just to keep grabbing the pawns in the center, and the problem is that white can't stop these b pawn from promotion. White tried to find some counterplay with the g4, but now black was very greedy. He took everything, and after gf, here obviously again gf is winning here, but here black first took this pawn, fg, hg, rook to d7. Now it's a bit late for rook activation. e6, rook g7, king f5, and after the move king b3, g5 again, we have a tuk-twang position. The problem is if this white king goes back, the pawn will be pushed, and if this rook moves anywhere, just the e5 pawn is going down, and here white resigned. I really hope you enjoyed this game in general. Let's go for a quick recap as we usually do here. So I will say the move queen b1 is definitely the bad trade for white because it's making black position very easy to play. And after the move queen to b1 takes c5, you will see that from here black played every single move of black was just to keep improving and pressuring the white pieces. So first of all, a lovely move f5. I think the move f5 was a crucial plan, activating the king f7, king e6, preparing h6, g5, and also jumping on the c4. So here, bishop g3, knight e4. Here, I think I will say the second mistake by white was to play a move bishop to e5. After this move, takes, and now cd, first important to open for black to open the c file. After the cd, he took cd, knight e, d, and now we have 2 against the 1, and we have a very nice king who is coming to block it. So king f7, king e6, and now after the f4, I will say a very important moment for black is to keep pushing the pawn. So b5, h3, b4. After a couple of moves, as you will see here, rook b1, check, here, take, and after rook to d8, white here had the only one chance to play for a draw to move the king to e2. One only idea is to have the rook who will come from the c file to at least to try to fight. But after the king c2, a5,
couple of checks, rook is behind the pawn, and now there is nothing that white can do because the b pawn will be pushed and black will grab all the pawns. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this endgame. And again, I hope you will be careful with the trades, especially when you're trading the queens and entering different type of the endgames. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next game. Bye. Hello everyone, and welcome to chapter 3, exchanges that are wrong. Today we'll take a look in the game between Kramnik Vladimir, who had a white pieces, and against Adams Michael, who was black in this position. So let's take a look in the game in front of us. Here, black is on the move. So first of all, what we must see is that this g7 pawn is under attack. And here now black has a ways how to defend the pawn. In this position, black played, I will say, not the best trade. Why? So here first black took the knight on d3. And the problem is, after the bishop to d3 and pawn to d3, now we have a very unpleasant position for black. That means we have two bishops against the bishop and the knight in this moment, and here white has a very pleasant endgame advantage all the time because bishops are just controlling so much space in this position, and black will be in trouble, let's say, the whole endgame from here till the end of the game. So here, instead of this move bishop d3 here, sometimes if you want to defend certain positions, you need to be aggressive. Here, the aggressive idea for black here is to play a move queen to f5, just a lovely plan. So now why this move queen f5 is so strong and so good? The main point is, if white tries to get the g7 pawn again, the point is that black can take the knight, so bishop to d3. And now the problem is for white is that this queen and the knight together are attacking the f2 pawn. So after the bishop d3, ed, black has this beautiful tactical idea. That plan is queen to f2 check. And after all of these trades, now bishop can't be moved because the d pawn is hanging. So after the move king f2, black can simply play a move king to g7, and we have opposite color bishop endgame. Yes, white is a pawn up, but that should be easy draw for caliber like Adams and Kramnik. So this should be a draw, especially because opposite color bishop, pawn up. The pawns are relatively close, so this shouldn't be a difficult draw for black. So let's go back. And that was the chance for black, that with the queen f5 to try to fight and not to defend this g7 pawn passively. But here in this position, black first took the knight, so bishop to d3, and after ed, black played the move knight to f6. So here we have not a typical endgame because the queens are still on the board, but here you will see how white is step by step, slowly and slowly taking more and more space from the black pieces, and one of the reasons why I like this game a lot. So first, Kramnik played the move h3. Move h3 here is a very useful move, especially because with the plan h3, now the g4 pawn, not the pawn, g4 square is completely taken from the black pieces. So after the move h3, black played the move h6. Black said, okay, let me at least release the king from the 8th rank. And now again, very nice pawn move. That's a move b4. With the move b4 here, Kramnik is taking away the square c5 from the black pieces, so now black can't offer the trade of the bishops even if he wants. As well, after the move b4, white idea here is to push the pawns on the queen side, of course, when time is right for something like this. Black played the move queen to e6, trying to make some kind of a counterplay on the e file, but now white played a very nice move, queen to c3. Main plan with the move queen c3 is to protect the square e1, but in the same time, white wants to control the c file that black let's say that black black lost control over the c when black moved the queen to e6 square. Now, black played the move knight to e8. The reason for knight
knight e8 is that black is now defending the g pawn, and black is preparing idea with the bishop f6 to offer the trade of the bishop. But now white said, I don't care if you trade the bishops, I want to push my pawns on the queen side, and Kramnik played the move a4. The plan is to try to disturb these two pawns on a7 and b6 of black. Black played bishop f6, and now these are this kind of like a waiting moves that I like a lot. So the plan with bishop f6 or black is pretty logical. Black wants to trade the bishops and to try to find, at least not to fight against the bishop pair anymore. Then just black wants to fight against one bishop. But after the move bishop f6, suddenly, if this bishop d4 happened at some point, black will have some checks with the queen e1 because this queen from c3 will be moved. So white saw a couple moves ahead that will happen. So here, white played the move king to h2, saying, I want to move the king first before any action happens. So here, black played queen d7, waiting move, and white said, let's push a5. White is trying to find a weakness in the black position, so white wants to use his bishop pair. So after the move a5, black played king to h7, and now it's time for white to get the action. First trade, bishop f6, knight to f6, and again, centralization of the white queen, queen to e5. Very good move. Again, white is preparing queen to b8 at some point because white wants to grab the b pawn in the right moment. Now black played queen d8. Again, it's a kind of like a passive defense because black needs to wait for a white before he does something. And now I will say one of the important moments in this position. So please here stop the video and try to find what is the Kramnik strategical idea here, how to pressure this position, queen and bishop against the queen and the knight. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. After the move queen d8, the crucial move for white here is to push a6. Why this move is so important? A6 move is a key move for white strategy because now the a7 pawn is, let's say, is becoming the main weakness in the black position. The problem for black is that black can't touch the a pawn because the white will simply just push the b pawn and connect the b with the a pawn. In the same time, black queen needs to control the white queen, and when that's the situation, like white can play this position very, let's say, very calm, move for move, waiting for the right moment. The problem is that black queen must control the white queen, but in the same time, knight must be on f6 because d5 pawn is already attacked twice by the queen on e5 and the bishop to g2. So king to g8, and now white played the move d4, saying, okay, now your weakness on d5 will be here for forever. After d4, now black finally played the move b5. Here b5 was a kind of like afraid that white will push the b and connect with a. So here black pushed b5, but the problem for black is that now this b pawn is in a light square, and as that, this b pawn now is a real weakness in the black position. So here white played the move bishop to f3. I really like this kind of waiting moves. The plan with bishop f3 is just to move the king and then to prepare the h pawn to go forward to try to lock these three pawns of black. So in my opinion, from my, let's say, playing experience, if I hate something, I don't like to play this kind of positions for black because this is kind of like completely waiting chess. And if white has a good technique here, it's a very small chances that black will survive. And here black played king f8, trying to put the king closer to the center, but white played king to g2, king to g8, and now h4. White is saying, okay, my queen side is perfect. Now I want to push the king side a little bit more, and now h4. Now finally here black didn't want to wait anymore, and black played the move queen to b6 as well. The position is already very difficult, but with the queen b6, black at least wanted to try to grab a pawn as soon as possible. White in this position, of course, let's say bishop to d5. He takes,
queen to a6. And now the problem with this queen endgame is that this d pawn is already on the very good square. Black has 2 against the 1, but in this type of position, it's very hard for black to make a pass pawn. So here, first white played the move queen to d7. With the move queen d7, let's say white is controlling the queen and preparing to d pawn to be pushed forward. There are like a lot of different ways how white could play here, but white, what's very important here, that white has a control over the black queen. So queen to g6, check, move, push. Let's go d5, and okay, there is nothing else for black to do here because d pawn is already very close to be promoted. Black in this position played the move a5, trying at least to make some counterplay and trying to push the b pawn till the queen. White took, and after b4 here, this is again like in this queen endgame, white needs to be very much careful. So please here stop the video and try to find the best move how white should play this endgame for the win. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you find the right move. Here there are like a lot of different ways, but I like the most concrete way, and that's a move d6 push. So what's the reason for this d6? The problem is that if he somehow takes it, queen to d6, white has a move check, queen e4, and if he tries to play g6, white has a queen to b7. The point is white will sacrifice a d pawn, but in return, white will have full control over this diagonal, bonus attacking the f pawn, and the a pawn will become a queen pretty quickly. So sometimes, yeah, queen's endgames can be difficult, but if you're controlling the safety of your king, pushing the pawn together, it's not so difficult as it looks like it. So after the move d6, obviously black can take the pawn. So here black push, but again, white push, check, king to h2, always on h2, because here king is kind of like a safe, you know, because there was like this pawn fortress and there is no second check from the black. So here queen to f3, and again, if white is on the move here, we can't promote the queen because black will give a couple of checks and that will be a draw because the black king can't go away from here. So after this, white played queen e1, protecting the f2 pawn, queen to d3, and the good thing about this endgame is there are like 2 pawns that white is pushing, so white pushed a6 as well. So after the move a6, queen to d7, but that's just a 1 pawn. There is a beautiful check, this, and queen to b3. After the queen a7, the last move the Kramnik must play here is the move queen to a2, defending the f. And now after the move king g7, king to g1, here black resigned because the white idea here is just simply to go check, check, and this pawn will be promoted. Thank you so much for your time. Let's go for the quick recap. I hope you enjoyed this queen endgame technique by Vladimir Kramnik, and let's go back. Like I said, I think this decision affects the whole game here in this moment because, yeah, g7 pawn is hanging. The only way for black to play this is to defend this position, is to defend by aggression. Here, black must play a move queen to f5 saying, yes, g7 pawn is hanging, but bishop g7 luckily is not working because black has this bishop d3, transposing the whole position to an equal opposite color bishop endgame, where, let's say, white will be a pawn up, or sorry, not the pawn. Now, after bishop d5, it is a pawn up, but after the move f5, position is probably very close to an easy draw. So here, after the move bishop d3, ed, knight f6, what is very important this type of the positions, I would like to repeat, is how white is getting a space from the black pieces. So first move is h3, taking away the square g4. After the move h6, white played b4 again, taking away the square c5, and after queen e6, queen c3, controlling the c file, in the same time controlling the e, knight e8, then white is pushing the a pawn, trying to make a plan on the queen side. Bishop f6, again, very nice idea, king h2, waiting move saying you can trade my bishop, but you will not get this, you will not give a check on e1. So after the queen d7, a5, again, very important for white is to try to find the weakness like he does in this on the queen side. King h7, takes, queen e5. Also very important for white is to keep aggressive with his queen, especially to find the best square in the central of the board, because this queen on e5 is just controlling everything. And after queen to d8, I think that this is one of the crucial moments, a6, because with the a6, white is saying your a7 pawn, black a7 pawn will become a weakness. You can't move the knight, you can't move the queen because d pawn is going down. King to g8, d4, fixing the weakness on the d5. So b5, and finally, a couple of waiting moves, improving the white king, h4, saying I will not let you to play move g5. And here, after a couple of trades, now Kramnik just controlled the whole time the position with the d pawn. And here, this is kind of like a deep calculation that move d6 is actually winning because the black king in the end of this game is in a very bad place. And we can see that by this check, queen to b1 and queen to b3. Thank you, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you're enjoying this chapter, and I hope to see you in the next game as well. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye. Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 3, exchanges that are wrong. Today we'll take a look in the last game of this chapter. The game was played by two very strong grandmasters, Neverov Valery and Romanishin Oleg. Neverov had the white pieces in this position. Let's go immediately to the crucial point of this game. Here, please, immediately I'll ask you to stop the video here and try to find the best move for white to play this position for advantage. Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move for white. Now, yes, the name of this chapter is exchanges that are wrong. But here we will start with exchange that is right. And here, play the move rook to c8. First trade immediately. The point is, after this trade, nothing else for black to play except this rook c8. White played again the move rook to c1. White is decided, let's say, white idea here is to keep trading the pieces as much as possible because white wants, after a couple of trades, to attack these black pawns on b4 and a6. In the meantime, the problem for black is like, if this rook moves anywhere, the white queen will go to c2 and white will have full control over the c file. So here, black first played the move a5, tried to connect his pawns on the queen side, trade, queen to c1. And now we get to the second important moment in this position. Here again, please stop the video and try to find the best move, but this time for black. What will you play here for black to stay in this game? Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. Here, the must-play move is to play a move queen to b8. It's essential to keep the queens on the board, and in the meantime, white to b8. With the queen on b8, black is stopping any entrance over the white queen. And also the plan for black is, in the meantime, is at some point to play move queen to b5 with the plans to be aggressive over this diagonal. So here, you probably know what happened. Black took this queen to c1, and from here, after the bishop c1, black is immediately in a very difficult spot. Why? Because these two pawns, a5 and b4, are let's say huge weaknesses in the black position. And also, what's the problem for black is that the c1 bishop is going through the dark squares, and the bishop can easily play bishop e3, bishop b6, and grab one of these two pawns. So here, black first played move bishop h6, bishop to e3, and now obviously after the move bishop e3, this is already a huge threat for the black. So black played the move knight to d7 with the idea at least to prevent this bishop to go to b6. Of course, white now played the move king to f2, unpinning the bishop, preparing to move the knight away. And now the problem is for black is what to do next. Here, black took bishop f4. That was not the best solution, but now the problem for black is that there is no good move here. Why? So if black goes something like bishop to g7, like just go back, the problem is that white will just play move bishop to a7. Beautiful. The main plan is, if now king goes, knight g2. Nice maneuver. And if black tries to do some kind of a counterplay, the plan is just simply to play knight to e3, and after knight e3, knight to c4, grabbing one, or let's say grabbing the second one of the black pawns. So here, The problem for black is that black can't control the pawns on a5 and b4. Maybe it looks like it's not such a big weakness, but in the couple of moves with the right maneuvering, white will grab these pawns. So black took bishop to f4, and again here I think both ways are pretty good to take. In this position here, white decided to take with the bishop. Also the move gf looks pretty good. The idea with the gf is to stop this knight from jumping to e5, and again idea is kind of like a simple, just to go with the king and grab this pawns. But here white played bishop to f4, f6 black played. Now the plan, what was the idea for f6 is to control at least this e5, preparing some jumping. But like when that happened, white just played king to e2. Idea of white is pretty simple. Let's go to the b5. Black played king f7. Activity, king to d3, g5, bishop one step back, knight to e5. Finally, knight is going to the center, but white just played move king to e2. The problem for this knight is that this knight can't stay here longer, because again, white idea is just to play bishop b6 and to grab the a pawn. So after the move king e2, black again went back, and now nice move from white, bishop to d4, saying, okay, your knight is now back, but your knight will never come back, because in any point if you jump here, I will just grab you, and I will just play with the king with the idea to grab all of your pawns on the queen side. So here black started with the move e6, at least trying to open up some kind of a position, but now white played king to d3. White is not interested, white doesn't have any interest to take anything in the center. White plan is just go to the b5. So here black took e to d5, e to d5, and now black played the move f5. It's very hard to suggest the move here, but after f5, white must be careful from the start till the end of this endgame. So with the move f5, the plan of black is at some point maybe to play a move like knight f6 or the move knight e5, and white said, nope, you will never jump anymore to e5, and white played a very nice move f4. f4, the very important thing is to control knight and the king, so don't very important don't to be greedy to go for the a pawn. Also important thing is to control the black pieces. Black played king to g6 with a plan at least to get some kind of counterplay over this side of the board, but now it's a time for white to go forward. So king c4, gf, gf, king h5, king b5. And after the move king g4, here it's like a third moment. Please stop the video here and tell me, how will you play this endgame for white here in this position? Thank you so much. I hope you find the right move. After the move king g4, don't grab the a5 and b4. Don't grab these 2 pawns. Go for king to c6. Just a lovely idea. Why king c6 is so important? After the move king c6, knight is already under attack, and d pawn, it's like much more important is to push d than to grab these 2. So here after this, black knight jumped back, and white said, okay, one waiting move, bishop e3, defending the f pawn. Black activated the king, but now bishop goes back to a c1. Black tried at least to push h, but now king to d6, h4, king e7, knight g6, king f7, and after the move knight h8, white just simply played the move king g7, and here black resigned because this knight is trapped. As you can see here, position was kind of like a dravish, but black with a couple of, with what we can say, with just one bad trade, black lost this game completely. So here, let's go back to the moment. The first, what I think, let's go for the quick recap, as we usually do. So here, I will say the very important is the right trade of white. First is this move rook c8. So here, white recognized that almost any type of the endgame will work for white much better. So here, trade, trade, trade. Nothing else for black than to defend. And after this queen c1, this wasn't so. This black trade of the queens is a very bad idea. Was a very bad idea from black. So here after the move queen c1, this black queen must go to the b8, at least controlling the squares, and let's say keep fighting this position in normal way. But here after the move queen c1, bishop to c1, these 2 pawns on the queen side are just huge weakness from the black side, and black can't defend these 2 pawns. So here after bishop h6, white just simply played
bishop to e3, knight to d7, trying to defend, but now also king f2. White idea here is to unpin the bishop. Bishop f4, black is at least trying to destroy the knight, but after there's a couple of moves, king e2, activity, king to d3, g5, knight e5 check, then king to e2. Let's go one step back, but again, this knight will not be here for long because black knight must go back, knight to d7, to protect this entrance with the bishop to b6. But here, white is just simply playing move bishop to d4, saying, okay, I will control your knight, and in the meantime, I will prepare my maneuver. White will prepare his maneuver, king d3, king c4, king to b5, e6. White is not interested to touch any pawns in the center. Takes, push. And now I think this is very important, let's say, from the point of counterplay. White is not allowing any jumpings, and white is just playing the move f4. After this couple of moves, here I will just say that it's very important after the move king to b5, again, to choose what's, let's say, not to go for the pawns, but to go to the very critical and concrete line, and that line is to go king c6, and after this, bishop e3, back, and after move king e7 with a couple of moves, black resigns, so it's very hard to defend this d pawn. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this whole chapter, and I hope you will be careful with the trades in the future games, and I hope you will win more games in the similar way. Thank you so much, and see you in the next chapter. Bye.